This is an educational video on how I developed the werndl 1867/77 cartridge. You do this at your own risk. This was originally a black powder cartridge, and cartridges of the world does show a load for smokeless. So this is strictly educational and showing you how I do it. Do it at your own risk. So some of you are probably wondering how I got to this point. Well, there's two methods of determining your bullet size. First is to go to the book and actually read it. Cartridges of the World is one good resource, and that's the one I use. And the other is actually doing a chamber cast. Now, I did my chamber cast in two pieces, and this is the actual chamber, and you can see the outline of the cartridge, and it's got a very long throat. Your rifling doesn't start till up here. So I did another chamber cast, and I got to determine what the groove diameter was, because it shows up really well when doing the chamber cast. And that's one thing I highly recommend everybody do when you're developing a load for an antique gun. And it gives you an exact measurement of the groove diameter at the chamber end of the gun and not the muzzle end, because I have found that at least one of my firearms, the groove diameter tapers down to the muzzle. Well, on this specific case with this particular firearm, it doesn't, and it gives me a accurate representation of the chamber and the groove diameter and the length of the throat for my particular firearm. I wanted to show you how I am making my werndl 1866/77 cartridges. Now, the first thing I do is I am sizing the brass, and I am going to shoot and fire for them at the same time. So what I do is I get the 348 Winchester brass, which, by the way, is approximately 100 thousandths shorter than the werndl cartridge, but it works. And what I did was I made a neck expanding tool. This is just an example, it's not the one I used, but it looks exactly like this. And I press it down through here and size out the neck to pretty much the right size for the bullet I'm using. The groove diameter on my werndl is 453 thousandths diameter, so I am using the Lee mold bullet for the 4570, and you can see I have powder coated some of these, and so I'm going to use a mixture of just lube cast bullets and powder coated bullets, and I have run them through my sizing die at 453 thousandths diameter, and then the lubricizer, some of these will be 452 because I don't have a 453 lubricizer die. So the cast bullets, the non-powder coated bullets will be 452. Now what I've done is I have a neck expander from 45 ACP, and I'm just going in here and I'm opening that up. I'm not going all the way in, just enough to start a bullet in there. Okay. And then I'm loading my powder which for me is IMR 4198 at 29 grain. There. Then I have taken backer rod. I'm not using a wad over the powder because it works just like this. I'm putting the backer rod in there, and the length is up to you. I'm about 3/4 of an inch long, and just putting that down in there till it touches the powder. And then behind the backer, on top of the backer rod, I've punched out some 45 caliber cardboard wad, and I'm just laying that in there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's not down on the backer rod. Then I'm going to my seating die, and I'm seating it so it's down to the, let me show you here. Okay, so you can see it's down to the second grease groove. Then I'm using Dutch Beaumont dies. This is the sizing die, and this is actually the seating and crimp die. This one's kind of loose, they won't stay on. So what I'm doing with the sizing die, I'm taking some CH4D sizing wax, I'm putting it around here, I'm going up in there, and I'm sizing that. It kind of squeezes that neck down a little bit because it won't go in, it won't chamber otherwise. And so the bullet can still be loose in there. So I've adjusted the sizing die enough that this bullet will chamber in the werndl. And then the next one is the seating and crimping die, and as you'll see, these have been removed. And the seating and crimping die I'm just using for crimp. And it crimps. Got it? So we got a crimp, we're sized, and this will chamber in my werndl. And we'll take it out to the range and I'll shoot it. And the first shots you got to kind of shove these in because they're a little snug, and then it will shoot and fire for them at the same time. And you don't get any blowback because it's a rimmed cartridge, and also the werndl breech block has a little flange on it to keep the gases from getting in your face. And I know because I've already fired some of these that this works. But I'm going out to the range and I will show you how these work. Also, I wanted to add, I did not trim these. That I will do after they have been fire formed, and I will trim them all the same. But right now, kind of hard to trim them because there's really not a defined shoulder in here, but after they're fire formed, there will be a shoulder, and I can put it in my trimming setup and trim them all to the same length. Now, the way I see it, these will not headspace off of the rim, they will headspace off of the shoulder, because the rim is about 90 thousandths on a werndl case, and unless I make a little ring and put it on there, this will not headspace on the rim. So my first shots will be fire forming and actually shooting a projectile at the same time. Okay, so I have my werndl, and as you can see, after I've done all of that, it does go in, and you just need to push it up just a little bit more, and the breech closes. And then from there, you just shoot it. Of course, you know the ejector, how it works. So this works just fine. And of course, any of that load for the werndl or getting ready to, The M77 or 1877 version is the longer cartridge. So the 1876 version, or 1866, golly, I'll get it right. 1867 version was a little shorter cartridge, and then it was updated to shoot the longer cartridge. And so this is what you have here. So you get that in there, swing your breech over, caulk your hammer, you're ready to go. I just wanted to show you what these cartridges actually work or fit in here, and I'm ready to take it to the range.